Next item on our agenda will be item number 7, it's a public comment. Dr. Murphy?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have 3 individuals who are signed up for public comment. I will read the public comment guidelines, and then I will state who the individuals are, what they will be speaking about, and then give you the opportunity to call them forward. Each speaker must have prior approval to be listed on the meeting agenda. The speaker shall identify the particular reason or subject when obtaining agenda approval. All requests to speak must be submitted in writing by 24 hours prior to the scheduled meeting. All public speakers must state their names, address, and identify the particular reason or subject matter of the comment after the board chair recognizes them and before providing their public comment. In the interest of fairness to other persons wishing to speak, all organizations, groups shall select a spokesman or representative. Each speaker shall limit comments to 3 minutes. The speaker will not be allowed to speak concerning specific personnel and/or personnel issues. The speaker will not be allowed to share confidential or protected information. Each speaker shall promptly conclude all comments when their time has expired. All remarks shall be addressed to the board as a whole and not to any single member unless in response to a question from a member. Each person addressing the Board of Education shall do so in an orderly manner and shall not engage in conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. All commentary must refrain from using profanity and or disrespectful remarks. Public comment will be limited to the first 5 individuals, representatives who complete the written request to provide public comment. The Board of Education shall not take any action to any public comment during this meeting. Neither the board nor the superintendent will respond to questions or comments during the board comment. The board will take comments under consideration and develop written responses if deemed appropriate. The first person who signed up was Mr. Vincent J. Peterson, speaking about board transparency.
Mr. Peterson. Welcome.
My name is Vince Peterson. I live at 307 Odom Road. I'm here this evening to discuss the Union County Board of Education policies and procedures as they pertain to transparency of decisions regarding the education of our children. I'm concerned with the cost of education as I am a taxpayer, and I'm concerned with the quality of the education received by the students, since I am a citizen of the country that they will be responsible for in the future. I want to be sure that I am receiving a quality product for the money spent. How do I do this? I must be able to somehow assess the educational level of our graduates. Okay, what are their proficiency levels in English, math, other subjects? How prepared are they to earn a living or continue their education? These questions must be answered in order to assess the success of our schools in educating our children. Then I must be able to determine the cost of this education. The budget of income and expenses must be known at a detailed level, not just the aggregate level at which you approve the budget. We need to also know about the current assets and liabilities in order to determine the fiscal health of the district. Right now, this information is not readily available to the public. Without that, we can't make this assessment. Now, so complete transparency into the operation and decisions of the board is required, and I feel that it doesn't exist. The board does not provide sufficient information to the public and makes it extremely hard for the public to obtain information and provide feedback to you. To provide comments and concerns on board policies and actions, I am allowed a total of 3 minutes a month. Okay, this is insufficient to really provide the kind of information I would like to give to the board. A meeting with the board was requested to be held, and it was basically rejected. The board didn't respond, your lawyer did. The board has agreed to an ethics policy that states that, quote, a local board of education shall not adopt or follow any code of ethics which prevents the members of the board from discussing freely the policies and actions of such board outside of a board meeting. Now, if the board does not agree to meeting outside, it's a little difficult to really discuss these policies. So with that, I say no assessment can really be made of the board's efforts without this various information. Right now, I don't know how good a job you're doing or not doing. We don't have enough information to do it.
Mr.
Fine,
Peterson,
sir.
thank you so much for coming by, and taking time to let us know your opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
The next person signed up for public comment is Ms. Cindy Vendry, speaking on public participation at meetings.
Welcome, Ms. Cindy.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Cindy Vandry. I live at 123 Run Drive. My husband and I have been Union County residents for 15 years. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I would like to refer to the school board policy BCBI entitled Public Participation in Board Meetings. The policy states, quote, "Meetings of the Union County Board of Education are held to conduct the affairs and business of the school system. Although these meetings are not meetings of the public is invited to attend all meetings, and members of the public are invited to address the board at appropriate times and in accordance with the process established by the board or the superintendent." So the process established, which was read tonight prior to the public comments, limits each speaker to 3 minutes. It also limits the number of public speakers to 5. This restricts the public to a total of 15 minutes per month to address the board on any issue that may arise. I believe that elected representatives of the people who should represent the people ought to seek out the opinions of the electorate. New items of concern arise during the term of the board members that were not present at the time of their election. So board members should be willing to seek out the opinions of those who elected them so they can truly represent them. The public comment section of the agenda is also limited to simply making a statement. The board, by the process established, will not respond to questions or comments made during the public comments. No discussion is allowed between the board and the public. The board is given the power to provide written responses to the commentator only if they deem appropriate. A commentator can have his or her 3 minutes and never be acknowledged to have spoken at all. The public comment agenda item is placed last on the agenda immediately preceding adjournment. This means that items on the agenda for discussion and action are already concluded before the public has the opportunity to comment. Public comments should be allowed as part of the discussion items and certainly before action is taken by the board. It appears that the board has established a process for public comments that severely limit the public from communicating to the board, and that further limits the board communicating with the public. When I've spoken at previous school board meetings, I did not just come to complain about something. I also brought what I thought might be a solution to what I was presenting. In this case, it would be nice to have a short discussion with some questions from the public, if there would be any, before everything is decided and voted on by the board. That's it. Thank you for hearing my concern.
Thank you, Ms. Cindy.
And the next person to speak is Mr. Millard Blanchard on lack of American heritage education.
My name is Zed Blanchard. My address is 897 Wilmar Circle. I live in Ivylog. I'm presenting information to the board as a petition for redress of grievances. This ties into what I'm going to talk about. Tonight, I'd like to spend my 180 seconds talking about the students' lack of knowledge in American history, heritage, and exceptionalism, or conversely, teaching of revisionist history. I discovered this by reviewing elementary school history books, looking for this specific syllabus, and then verifying my findings with an American Heritage questionnaire that I gave to students coming here for awards, and to the high school medical students that I mentored when they interned at the local free clinic. All of those students were exceptional. Maddie was my favorite. She went on to medical school. No student answered more than 2 questions, excepting the last question, which I will read now. Would you like to learn more about American heritage and history? All students answered in the affirmative. All questions were preceded with, were you taught in school, in order to not embarrass the student. I'll read the questions as I can before the clock runs out. The questions came in groups, and the board already has these questions. I've made this presentation before, okay? Were you taught in school about American exceptionalism? What do you remember about that lesson? Were you taught about the founding fathers? Can you name some of the founding fathers? What did they do? Were you taught about the 3 founding documents? What happened to the Articles of Confederation? Were you taught about the Constitutional Convention of 1787? What happened in that convention? I go back a little bit. The students could not answer these questions. Some could answer 2, maybe 3. You were taught about the hierarchy of levels of government. Were you taught about the supremacy clause in the Constitution? Were you taught the sovereign relationship between state and federal government? Were you taught about the enumerated powers clause in the Constitution? Name some of the enumerated powers. Were you taught about the constitutional right to redress that states have with the federal government? What is it? Does the Constitution guarantee a separation of church and state? How does it do that? Or why does it do it? Or does it do it?
Mr. Banks, thank you so much for your time.